And likewise, Mr. Cartwright has a bill, his bill 2689 is great. We've got all these schools, and there's programs in the schools, in the federal government to try to help them make those buildings more energy efficient. And some of our schools are really in need of tightening up in the summer and in the winter. And again, this is a situation where it's going to, by streamlining this, make the programs that are available easier to use for the school districts. And the benefit is going to be to the property taxpayers in large part, number one. But number two, to the kids. They're in schools, and they're going to be tighter. They're going to be cooler in the summer. They're going to be warmer in the winter. And that actually affects instruction and learning. So I congratulate Mr. Cartwright for his leadership on this, and I'm delighted to be working with him and also with you, Mr. Upton, on both of these pieces of legislation.
HR 4092 establishes a single entity to take charge of implementation of energy efficient and renewable energy opportunities for schools across the country. This bill provides less bureaucracy and simplifies the dissemination of information on existing federal programs and assistance that may be used to help initiate, develop, and finance energy efficiency, renewable energy, and energy retrofitting projects for schools. I hope that my colleagues will join me in supporting these bills.
Chair now calls up H.R. 4092 and asks the clerk to report.
H.R. 4092, to amend the Energy Policy and Conservation Act to establish the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy as the lead federal agency for coordinating federal, state, and local assistance provided to promote the energy retrofitting of schools.
Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with, and the bill will be open for amendment at any point. So ordered. The chair would recognize Mr. Welch for the purpose of offering an amendment in the nature of a substitute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Our colleague, Mr. Cartwright, has legislation.
Excuse me, just 1 second. The clerk needs to report the title of the amendment.
Amendment in the nature of a substitute to H.R. 4092 offered by Mr. Welch of Vermont.
All right. The amendment will be considered as read. The staff will distribute the amendment. The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes in support of the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Our colleague, Mr. Cartwright, has legislation that's more or less incorporated into this amendment. This amendment will replace the entire bill with language that's been worked out with the chairman and the ranking member in the relevant agencies. And of course, I do thank the chairman and I thank the ranking member for their leadership on this. Our amendment will establish a clearinghouse through the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy to disseminate information on federal programs and financing mechanisms that can be used to develop energy efficiency, distributed generation, and energy retrofitting projects for schools. So we all have schools. They all have big expenses with utilities, and anything that's out there that will help them save money is going to be good for property taxes and good for instruction. You know, we've got a lot of initiatives, federal initiatives, that are already available to help schools, but these programs, they're spread across the entire federal government, making it very difficult for some of our small school boards, even big ones, and time-consuming and costly just to identify them. So this amendment seeks to address that problem by clearing up some of the bureaucratic obstacles to schools that are seeking assistance for energy efficiency upgrades, all at no additional cost to the taxpayers. K-12 school districts spend literally billions of dollars on energy each year, and lowering the energy bills for those schools is going to help control costs. As I mentioned, good for the taxpayers, certainly in Vermont, but I'm sure that's true for all of us. It's going to make classrooms more comfortable in the hot weather and in the cold weather. And by the way, that's good for instruction. We don't want our kids in overheated or too cold schools. I want to thank Mr. Cartwright of Pennsylvania for authoring this legislation and working with me on this effort. I ask my colleagues to support this amendment in the underlying bill. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. I just like to say we commend your work on this and look forward to supporting it. Are there other members wishing to speak on this amendment? Seeing none, the vote occurs on the amendment in the nature of a substitute. Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. You need a chair. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to. Are there further amendments to the bill? Seeing none, the vote occurs on favorably reporting H.R. 4092 as amended to the House. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The ayes have it, and the bill is favorably reported.